is a story most of us have been quietly telling ourselves for years. A story that sounds reasonable, even responsible, but one that is quietly costing us more than we could ever imagine. The story goes like this. I will start building my wealth when I have more coins to spare, when life settles down, when the timing finally feels right. And so, the months pass. Then the seasons, then the years, and somehow the right moment. The moment when everything is perfectly ready, never quite arrives. Have you ever felt that? That quiet pull between knowing you should act and finding one more reason to wait just a little longer? Today, I want to look at that story with you honestly and show you why the belief that you cannot afford to invest may be the most expensive belief you have ever held. This is our hero, a young man who works hard each day, who honors his obligations, pays the merchant what he owes, sets aside enough for bread and oil, and faces each new month with quiet determination. And yet, at the end of each month, when the accounts are settled and the obligations met, there is never quite enough left over to feel like he has truly gotten ahead. Only enough to begin again. His plan, like so many of ours, has always been to wait. To wait until the harvest is better, until the contract comes through, until there is simply more to work with. But here is what no philosopher at the Agora ever told him, and what I want to tell you now: waiting does not keep your wealth safe. Waiting is itself a choice, and like all choices, it has a cost. A cost that compounds silently with every season that passes. For most of history, the world of investing truly was a private hall. A place where only those with great accumulated wealth were welcomed through the door, and everyone else was quietly told to come back when they had more. There were minimum deposits the size of a year's wages. There was language designed to sound complex, forms designed to discourage, and gatekeepers whose entire purpose was to make the ordinary person feel that this world was simply not meant for them. That era has not fully disappeared, but it has been joined by something new. A world where the door to investing stands open for anyone willing to walk through it, with as little as a single coin in their hand. Fractional ownership means that even the grandest merchant vessel in the harbor, the one that once required a wealthy patron to invest, can today be partially yours for the price of a single drachma. You own less than a patrician, yes, but you own something real. You grow when the venture grows. You benefit when the world moves forward. And that is precisely where wealth begins to build. There is a force at work in the world of wealth that the philosophers understood long before the merchants gave it a name. It is the force of growth, building upon growth, of a small thing becoming a larger thing. Not through effort alone, but through the patient passage of time. We call it compound interest. And the best way I can show it to you is this. Imagine placing a single gold coin at the top of a great hill, giving it the gentlest push, and then simply stepping back and watching what happens. At first, the movement is so slow you might think nothing is happening. One coin becomes two. Two become four. The change is imperceptible in the early days, which is precisely why so many people give up before the magic has time to begin. But stay with it, because somewhere past the midpoint of the hill, the sphere that was once the size of a single coin has grown so large and is moving so fast that the ground itself seems to tremble beneath it. If you place 50 coins per month into a trusted investment beginning at the age of 22, and you allow that investment to grow at a modest 7 coins of return for every 100 per year, by the time you reach 62, you may find yourself holding not 500 coins, nor 5,000, but well over 130,000. Wait 10 years to begin, and that same effort, those same 50 coins every month, will yield barely half as much by the end. Not because you worked any less, but because you gave time 10 fewer years to do what only time can do. Let us make this concrete. Let us step away from the abstract and ask a simple, direct question. What actually happens in the real world when you take a handful of coins and place them into a venture you have chosen to trust? The moment you place your coin in a venture, however small your share, you become a part owner of that enterprise, not a lender, not a creditor, an owner, someone with a genuine stake in whether that thing grows or withers. That enterprise, whether it is a trading house, a shipyard, or a great market, takes the coins placed by its owners and uses them to grow, to hire more craftsmen, to build more ships, to open new markets in distant ports, to produce more and earn more. And as that enterprise grows in value, as its ships carry more cargo and its ledgers fill with profit, the value of your small ownership stake quietly grows alongside it. Not through any action of your own, but simply because you chose to be part of something that was building. You did not discover a hidden mine of silver. You did not outmaneuver a cleverer merchant. You simply owned a piece of the world's honest labor, and you allowed the world's honest growth to carry you forward with it. I know what fear is already forming at the back of your mind, because it forms at the back of every honest person's mind when they first consider putting their coins into something they do not fully control. What if the whole structure collapses? What if I place my coins and wake one morning to find them gone? Here is the honest answer. Markets do fall. They have fallen before, sometimes sharply and without warning, sometimes slowly and terrifyingly. I will not insult your intelligence by telling you otherwise. The history of commerce is a history of cycles, of seasons of abundance and seasons of difficulty. But here is what that same history also shows. Without exception, every collapse has been followed by recovery. Every storm has eventually given way to calmer seas. The great market crash of one generation becomes the forgotten footnote of the next, and the wealth that endured through the difficulty was always the wealth that stayed the course. The greater danger, the one that receives far less attention, is not losing coins in the storm. It is keeping your coins buried in the earth while the seasons pass, while prices rise, while the purchasing power of everything you have saved quietly and invisibly erodes, until the 100 coins you set aside are worth only 70, with no storm, no collapse, and no drama to blame. The second fear is quieter than the first, but just as powerful. The fear that this world is simply too technical, too expert, too full of specialized knowledge that you do not possess and would take years to properly learn. The language alone feels like a locked door. Here is a truth the experts rarely advertise. The overwhelming majority of professional money managers, the men and women who dedicate their entire working lives to studying the markets, do not consistently outperform a simple, passive investment in the whole market, which means that the most sophisticated move available to the ordinary investor is also, counterintuitively, the simplest one. To stop trying to pick the winners and instead buy a small piece of everything at once, trusting that the whole will grow even when individual parts falter. An index fund does exactly this. With a single purchase, you place your coin into a vessel that holds within it a small stake in hundreds, sometimes thousands, of the world's greatest enterprises at once. You need no expertise to choose among them. You simply choose all of them. Let me bring all of this out of the realm of philosophy and into the realm of the real and the practical, because I find that what moves people to act is not an abstraction. It is a number they can see, in a story they recognize as their own. Our hero makes one decision every day when the wine merchant calls to him from the tavern doorway. And he does call every single morning. He smiles, he nods, and he quietly walks past. That one small daily choice frees up 40 coins per month. 40 coins per month. He places them into his index with the same quiet regularity with which the tide moves in and out. Without drama, without deliberation, simply as a fact of his month. At the end of his first year, he opens the ledger. The number is modest, barely more than what he put in, and he feels the first whisper of doubt. He wonders if he has been a fool. He keeps going anyway. 5 years later, the numbers begin to speak a different language. His 480 coins of deposits have grown to something closer to 3,300. Not because the world was generous, but because compounding has begun to find its voice. 20 years on, our hero sits in the same modest chair, in the same modest room, and opens a ledger showing him a number that his younger self would not have believed. Not because he struck fortune, but because he kept going, month after month, through every season of doubt. He did not sacrifice his joy. He redirected 1 cup of wine per day. And patience, patient, unhurried, compounding patience, did everything else. So let us do this together, practically and without unnecessary complication. I am going to give you 4 steps, not 40, not 14, just 4. And when you have completed all 4, you will be something you were not before, an investor. Step 1. Choose a platform with no minimum deposit. In our age, several of the most trusted houses ask nothing of you to open an account. Fidelity, Vanguard, Schwab. These are names that have earned the right to be trusted, and they welcome you with as little as a single coin. Step 2. If you are eligible for what is called a Roth IRA, open one before you do anything else. It is a vessel in which your wealth grows entirely free of the tax collector's reach. A gift from the state that most people never claim simply because no one told them to. Step 3. Buy the index. VOO, SPY. Either will do. These are vessels that hold within them a proportional stake in the 500 largest commercial enterprises of our age. And they ask nothing of you except the coin you place in them and the patience to leave it there. Step 4. Automate it. Set your monthly contribution to move on its own, like the tide, without requiring your will or your memory. Remove the decision from the realm of emotion and place it in the realm of mechanism so that it happens whether the news is good or terrible. That is it. 4 steps. You are now an investor. You do not need a toga of greater quality. You do not need to understand every term the philosophers argue over. You simply needed to begin. I want you to consider, for a moment, a version of yourself that exists 30 years from now. A person who has lived the same basic life you are living, faced the same basic challenges, earned roughly the same coins, but who made one different choice, quietly and consistently, every single month for 3 decades. He did not uncover a hidden treasury. He did not inherit a fortune or win the favor of a powerful patron. He simply began, one ordinary month, and then continued. Through seasons of doubt, through years when the numbers moved in the wrong direction, through every moment when stopping would have felt entirely reasonable. Between these 2 figures, the young man who is still deciding and the older man who decided long ago, there stretches a thread of luminous golden moments, each one a month, each one a choice, each one a small act of faith in the future he could not yet see. There is also, I should tell you, another figure standing beside the young man. Transparent, barely visible, made of gray stone dust. This is the version of him who waited, who always had a reason, who meant to start, but let the seasons take him instead. You do not need more coins to begin investing. You need to begin investing in order to have more coins. The best time to have started was 10 years ago. The second best time is this season, this month, this very day, before another reason arrives to tell you why it should be later instead.